So sometimes we get course maps online that look like this. They don't have a grid. We don't even know how big the arena is. And we actually want to build this and set this up, but we just have no clue on how to, because we just don't know the size of the space that we're looking at, the space between obstacles. We can probably guess, and some of us do. We build just based on assumptions, on relative spacing. With experience, you can kind of eyeball and just kind of know how many paces it is between things. But sometimes we want to set things up a little bit more precisely. And I'm going to explain how I go about doing that. I first use a measuring technique, and I either do this by printing the map and do this with a ruler. I'm going to show you how I do it digitally when I don't have access to a printer or I don't want to use a printer, and how I go from a map like this with no coordinates and no grid to knowing exactly how to build it with a gridded system and having pretty high level of confidence that I know where things go and the spacing between them is appropriately. So I'm going to start diving in with a demonstration on how to get started with figuring out how big this field is, because that's the first thing we need to know is how big of a space is this course built in. So I need to know the length of the weaves and then the length of the arena. So I'm going to start by figuring out the length of the weaves. I'm going to draw a line here on the weaves. I'm going to try to make it as precise as possible, but I have the right angle and the right length, and I'm at 308. So I'm going to write 308 on my notebook because that's going to be my length of weaves. And so then after that, I'm going to put in 2 more lines here. 1, 2, one I'm going to use for the vertical, one I'm going to use for the horizontal, so I'm going to put this at 90 degrees. So then I'm going to move this line over to the edge of the arena, and I'm going to do the similar thing. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to align this line I'm creating with the edge of the arena to get the height. So I want to keep it at 90 degrees to make sure, and then yeah, I'm going to check this. I'm a little short. Check this. Okay. So that number, I'm going to make a note of that number. I'm going to write that number down as my height, 1,389. 1,389. So that's what I'm writing down for the height of my course. And then I have this other line I've put in, and I'm going to put it at the top of the arena, and I'm going to check my width. So keeping it at 0 degrees, I'm checking my width. I'm about here. I think I need to go a touch longer because that dots. So I'm 1,950 is going to be the number I write down, just the best of my ability. And then I'm going to go to my notebook and do the math. So once I wrote down my numbers from measurements in Canva, I just need to do basic algebra and convert the numbers I wrote down from Canva, which is a generic number. I don't know what it means, pixels. It's just a number, but because I'm using the same software to do the measurements, I can just say I'm going to convert whatever the computer's giving me. It's times a factor. I'm going to get my length in feet, or you can do it in meters if you want. So because it was a Smarter Agility weaves or Smarter Agility map, I'm going to use the fact that weaves are 23.3 based on this chart I have here below. This is just something I've based on having Clean Run Course Designer software myself and Smarter Agility software. Their weave poles set image is just different length. So I just use that based on the information I've gotten from both of those software. So that's where those numbers come from. So the number I got from Canva in the previous video for the weaves was 308. So that means the 308 number I got from the computer, to get to 23.3 feet, I have to use a multiplication factor of 0.075, whatever. That doesn't really matter. That's whatever that number is what it is. So now that I have my width that I took off the screen, which is 1,389, I will multiply that number times this factor, and that's going to give me the number of feet that the width of that map was, or the height, I guess that would be. And And if I wanted to convert it to meters, I just have this simply converting it to meters. And then the length, the longer dimension on that screen, so that's, I measured it as 1,950 on the computer, and then times my factor of this 0.075, I'm getting that it's 100 and roughly 105 by 147 and a half. If I like to convert that to meters because sometimes that makes more sense. Knowing that it was designed in Europe, and for a European map, I would then just assume that this was made for a 33 by 45 meter field, and then convert that to feet. But that's how I do my conversion factor and just try to at least get roughly what the ring size was for that map. So now that we know what our ring size is, there's two different ways I like to recreate a course to figure out the coordinates and build it in my own space. One is AC Master. This is created by Agility Nerd and Steve. He's done a great job with this. And what I like about this is I have my own places, so I can build things around my tree. So if you've never used this before, there's a bunch of tutorials on how to use this. So I'm just gonna quickly just do it. But I would highly recommend, if you've never used this before, getting it, going to this website here at agilitycoursemaster.com. You can also check out Agility Nerd on Facebook, and there's some information about how to use this. But because I'm not going to really show you how to use it because I already have all my places and things. So what I'm going to do though is just add this map. So we're going to put this map in just to kind of show you roughly how it goes. So that's the map that we just did the study on. I'm going to crop it to the actual, get all the extra stuff off that isn't part of the course, because I want the exact course that we measured, which is this space here. Okay. So now it's cropped. Give it a name. This is a Marco A2, whatever you want, naming convention you want. So the width is what we got. So I'm going to use my meters, just because I feel more comfortable because this was designed in meters, that's more accurate. By 45, I'm going to select, oh, so I have this backwards. The width was the longer one, sorry, that was the 45 in that direction, and the height was the taller, which was the 32, and that was in meters. And I'm just going to save it because I'm not doing anything special with it, and then I'm going to lay it out in my yard. And again, there's my tree, so I like to be able to see that. And then I'm going to adjust the course as needed to fit into my space. So this is why I like AC Master, because I can see what, like, okay, oh cool, I can build this course. If I move things around, I can wrap the tunnel around the tree, still get everything in. This course is a little long for my yard, so maybe I'm just going to focus on this part of the sequence, but I can see what it's going to look like around my tree. Again, this is why I like AC Master, because there's a lot you can do with it. I'm not going to go into all the details about AC Master, but that's just roughly how that works. And then you can do the similar, if you just want the coordinates, and you're not super concerned, you just like, hey, I really want to build this. I know for sure it's going to fit. I have a very flat, open space to build in. Maybe it's a building or a yard. I'm not worried about rotating or switching things around to see if it works around a tree or a hill or whatever. And you have a subscription to Smarter Agility. You can do this as well. So you would have to go in, set the course to the dimensions that we have. So we did 45 by 32. And then you can create a course from a photo here. Select a photo, choose the photo. This was the course that we chose. And then I'm going to set the corners. Again, there's tutorials on how to do all this, so I'm just doing it very quickly just to show you what the options are and some of the things that I like to do for building courses in my yard. So then I can continue, and it's going to stretch it to the field. It looks right to me. You can move things around if you don't like that preview. And then what you do then is just take your jumps, and now you just kind of are recreating. And that way, if you want to move things around, you can do so. But in the meantime, I can just, rebuild the course real quickly. with putting the things down, and maybe I want to see what it looks like without a certain jump, or with maybe I want to see what it looks like with added things. I can do all of that here in Smarter Agility Designer, and then I can export this with coordinates, and then I have something I can build off of. So that's just another way to then have a course map to build off of. But again, AC Master, you can do the same thing once you have this set. You can save it, and then you can view it. You can't print out like a coordinate map, but you can take there's an app on your phone, so you can take this out with you when you build, and then you can see the coordinates while you're building for each of these obstacles in your own space. And again, based on your yard or based on your building. This is and I build off my own coordinate system, which is like 0 in the middle, and you can set all that up in AC Master. And again, there's great tutorials on how to do all of that here on this program. So that's 2 ways that you can build courses on your own based on a course map you find online.